So, all right, we are live. I'm going to do a little intro. What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And well, we got an episode. I think it's going to be an enjoyable episode. We've been able to talk to our guest a couple times at different events, and it's always been enjoyable to have our guests and talk to them. And but if you don't know, guys, I am Colin Burnett.
That's right, Colin. I'm Norman Lee, man. Yeah, we have one heck of a show tonight and excited about getting this thing started. But first, Colin, we have a little bit of business to take care of about one of our sponsors for tonight's episode. You know what? You never know when it's going to happen. The fish of a lifetime comes out of nowhere and just destroys your bait. Never miss another memory making moment with YOLO Tech. No more changing batteries in your cameras. Capture every memory, capture every moment with YOLO Tech. Always be recording. Click the link in the description of this episode. And remember, don't forget, use that discount code DeckTalk10 at checkout. Again, click on the link in the description of this episode. Don't forget, use our discount code DeckTalk10 for your instant savings at checkout. Yo, man, that is right, Colin. We have one heck of a show lined up tonight, and we're just going to get right into it. Let's introduce this cool cat here. In 2017, he won the Bass Nation Championship, which captured, which catapulted his career into the Bassmaster Elite Series. He had a breakout season in 2021 where he captured two top tens and was right there at the end in the Angler of the Year race. His stat line is nothing short of impressive with 5 top 10s, 20 top 20s, 31 top 30s, and a 3-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier. Louisiana's own Caleb Sumrall. What's going on,
What's
man?
up, brother?
How's it
Man,
going?
thank you.
How
Thank
you
you for
doing,
coming
man?
on.
Yeah.
And we're going to have fun for a little bit and just chit chatting
That's
about
right.
fishing.
Oh, yeah, we are.
So let's start it off with how did you get started into fishing? I know with you being from Louisiana, it's just kind of pumped into your blood.
Oh, it
And
most definitely is, dude. I grew up fishing every ditch, pond, puddle that I could.
yeah,
My dad was the bass. My dad was the sockeye fisherman, crappie fisherman, and my grandfather was the bass fisherman. So I was kind of torn. Neither one of them was tournament fishing. My little boy might be showing up.
oh, you're good. You're good.
Sorry for the background noise.
That's
You're
all
all
right.
right.
So yeah, no, I just grew up fishing and doing that deal everywhere I could, and like literally everywhere I could throw a line. That's all I did my whole life.
Yeah, that's
Heck
awesome, man.
yeah.
Hey, what was your path to the elites? Now, I know a little bit of the background story, how you qualified for the elites.
Yep.
While you were trying to qualify, you had something happen in your personal life that could have brought you down, but instead
Big time.
you persevered, man. And let me tell you something, you killed it in the Bass Nation Championship after that happened. So, talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about your path to the elites and how it all went down for you.
Man, dude, it was just crazy. Hey, hang on 1 second. Go outside, bud. Go outside real quick. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh no, you're
Go
good.
outside
You're
real
You're
good.
good.
quick. Go outside real quick. Go outside real quick. Sorry.
No,
You're
that's
good.
all
You're
right.
good.
Little man's upset he can't go to grandma's. That's all it is.
Oh
Sorry,
Oh
man,
guys.
man, no,
I
you're
know.
good.
Every time I had a chance to go to grandma's, I went to grandma's because I knew grandma was cooking some home cooking.
That's all that just was. I apologize about that, but
You're
That's all
good.
right.
You're good. You're good.
no, man. I was in the all. I grew up in the oil field, dude. Right out of high school. Always had the passion for fishing, and made it through the nation. And dude, I qualified to fish one tournament, the nation championship, 2 months after I got laid off, and it was a total long shot. but it was like my last bass tournament ever. I was going to get to fish. That's what I felt like entering
Right.
into it. And Lake Hartwell in the fall, had zero experience there. And I mean, long story short, just ended up coming through and winning it, dude. It got me a classic berth and an Elite Series invite.
Yeah. Who would have thought that spotted bass would have done that for you?
Right?
That's
so,
awesome, man.
um, so what is it? Because everybody they think that when you become a professional angler that you have it made, and they don't really see the work in which with us being like part of the media and stuff with bass and uh, we get to talk to y'all, and so we get to see y'all on backside of things. So we know that a little bit more about what kind of work y'all put into it. I mean, we've talked to anglers while they're tying up stuff, getting ready for tournaments, and while I mean, we've even had Trey McKinney on here, and he was pre-fishing for a lake that y'all was going to fish. I think here in the next month or so that y'all was going to fish at. He was pre-fishing or something,
Yep.
um, and so, but it's always something that's going on with y'all. It's not just that you show up, you got a tournament on that's coming up that weekend, and you just show up on Monday. That y'all prepare from stuff like I mean, it's from one tournament to another, and that it's y'all are always constantly doing something. I mean, it's more of a full time job than somebody that's working 40 hours a week.
Oh, most definitely, dude. I mean, it's constantly on our brains, man. Like best way I can put it, like there's constant homework. There's constant, what can I do to catch a bass anytime I go anywhere? It's it is not just I've made it to the Elite Series. Oh, I show up at a tournament and
Right,
the bass bite. It's not, dude. It's a total whirlwind of work, homework, map study. Pre fishing is like just pre fishing is one thing. I really want to get into pre fishing a little bit more. And hang on one second, guys. I got to be a dad for a second.
you're good.
I
You're
Oh,
good.
hate
you're
to
You're
good.
I
good.
hate
You're
to do
no,
this.
you're good. You're
You're
good.
good. You're
I'll be
good.
right back.
You're
Like
good.
2 seconds.
So he, I mean, it just goes to show that I mean he's at home. He's trying to get the podcast going, and uh, so he's just like what he said.
Yeah,
He's got to go be a dad, and
yeah,
so
exactly, man.
but he'll be right back,
And
and
that
so
and you know something too, that's the most important thing, man. Especially them guys, and we experienced a little bit being on the road quite a bit with what we do. Also, not to the same
yeah.
aspect they are, but family is the most important thing in your lives.
Oh
Ooh,
yeah,
man,
you're good, man. You're good.
you are
Yeah,
good.
I know.
So but yeah, do y'all like when you're preparing for a tournament? Like how far in advance are you just looking at the next tournament, and or are you a couple of lakes ahead? Because we've talked to
When the
people to
schedule
where
when this I'm sorry.
you're
When the
good,
schedule comes out, I start doing my homework for all of them. Honestly, like you start looking at, especially if it's lake I haven't been there before.
right,
Like I've never been to Smith Lake, where we just come from. Um, you start looking at, what's winning tournaments, what predominant baits they eat there. Just little stuff like that. Um,
right,
maybe you can clue in on some public information of certain areas of the lake where it goes down, that type of thing. Just really just dialing in your homework to where you can maximize practice when you get there.
Yeah.
right. Now, how much do you use, or do you use like Google Earth and stuff like that? Do you use that?
Um, I wouldn't say I use it too much on like lakes that don't really fluctuate. I like it more on lakes that I know draw down. Like the mapping nowadays on most electronics are pretty insane. So like finding road beds and old bridges and
Right,
stuff like that underwater is pretty much there marked.
right,
And I'm not saying I don't do it for every event, but there's a lot of events where it just don't play as much. I mean,
Yeah.
I always before I go. Let me rephrase this. Before I go to every lake, I always spend at least an hour or so, maybe a couple, just accumulated, just map studying.
Yeah.
Like
Right, right.
either it's contour study on the on like my phone or map study on Google Maps.
Right.
Do you ever use YouTube or any social media type of platforms to
Oh,
research
absolutely. I
lakes?
search everything that has anything to do with a lake,
Where right.
which
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure every one of our guys do as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the information's out there, and if you don't use it, you're dumb.
That's
And
it.
so,
No, I
I
mean,
mean,
it's amazing. Like when our guys show up to practice, it's like it's amazing. Like if you think you figured out something on social media or YouTube or anything that you think nobody else might have seen,
yeah, no,
just go ahead and forget it.
yeah. So, do you prefer to fish like river systems, or do you like tidal? I mean, with you down in
Yeah,
Louisiana,
no.
do you like tidal waters?
Oh yeah, no. I like any fishery where live scope's canceled out.
I hear you. Yeah, and we had Buddy Gross on, and he was talking. He's like, that's one thing uh, that he's like, I've got to work on it. He said because these kids that are coming up, these rookies, the past couple of years have kicked our tails,
Oh
and
yeah.
and it's all because they know what they're doing with the live scope. And he says that's older folks. He said we have no clue. He says he actually was out on. We're in Chattanooga, and he just lives right down the road from me, and so we see him on Chick ever so often, but and he was like, I've been out on Chick, and I've had people out trying to help me to figure out how to teach me how what I need to look for and stuff like that. And he's like, because these young kids, he says, if you don't some of these lakes, if you don't do it, they're gonna kick
Oh
your teeth in.
no, yeah, no, absolutely. You're getting your money to it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's almost like going up north and having the Johnsons enter the tournament.
That's, that's right.
So, but but we want to talk a little bit also um, the house that you stay with, because you stay with some characters in itself when you're out on tour.
Yep.
And Norman and I were talking about it, and we say probably your house with the people that you stay with, and then Matt Robertson and the Johnson boys and Seth Fighter and all that. That those two houses got to be some of the wildest houses that's on tour.
I would call it wild, but
You enjoy
when
your
we get
time.
cut, it can get wild.
Well, I
Yeah,
guarantee
yeah.
it.
Hey, talking about wild real quick, I want to ask you a question. And I seen a video not too long ago, and you're probably going to know where I'm going with this here in a second. But I think Hank Cherry I seen in it, and of course Lee was in the video. But you jumped into a daggone hog pen.
Oh, you saw that?
I seen that video. Now, first of all, before you get into explaining that, how many beers were involved, and who ended up winning, the hog or you?
Oh, we had quite a few beers. So we were staying at Lee's buddy house, Clay Powell at Lake Fork,
Uh,
and
right.
he had this hog that kept coming into the pen, and he had like a remote trapper. So I said, "Dude, go ahead and trap that thing. When I get cut, I'm gonna get in there and stab him and kill him." And he said, "The hell you are?" And I said, and we were sitting by the fire one night. And he said, "Caleb, your hog's in the pen." I said, "Go ahead and trap him." He trapped him, and there was like 30 people there, and everybody went down there, and they were like, "Well, what you were talking about? Jump in there and get him." He gave me a run for my money, but I ended up winning the fight.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that was a funny video. I laughed my butt off when I was watching that. But as I got closer to jumping in the pen, were you starting to have a little bit of second thoughts, or were you all go?
Absolutely, the thing was huge.
Probably got heavier and bigger as you got closer to the pen.
Oh yeah, he got way bigger.
So when you have downtime and stuff, what what is your kind of getaway? What do you do to kind of clear your mind to be able kind of get a restart and get ready for the
Man,
next tournament?
dude, my getaway is just fishing. I just love fishing.
Yeah,
I really do. But here lately, my off time, I've been doing some saltwater guiding, and that is really like it's keeping me fishing. I love it. Like I love taking people catch fish, speckled trout, redfish, stuff like that, and it's been going really good. People have been
good,
coming out in my Express X23
good.
Bay, and dude, it's just been fun. Like I'm fishing. I'm not getting burnt out on too much bass fishing. When I got my next bass tournament, I'm fired up. I'm ready to compete. But I'm staying outside. I'm staying fishy, and that's kind of been my little reset lately, and I'm really enjoying it.
Good.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
seen that. I seen that post when you picked up your Express Bay boat, and that man, let me tell you, that looks like a sweet rig, dude. That looks
It
like a
really is,
spot
man.
on, dude. Yeah,
now speaking of Express, we do want to talk to you about Express because you are one of the few that's in the elites that actually have an aluminum boat.
That's right.
And so, what was it about Express that made you like, all right, I want to fish out of an Express? And second part, is there a benefit to fish out of aluminum boat in the
Yep,
tour?
man. Like I don't know where to start here. When I first got the call, first of all, you don't get too many companies nowadays that recognize an angler and reach out to them.
Right,
Um, I feel like that's a dying thing in what we do. Unless you're winning everything in the world, every tournament,
right,
which I wasn't. And Clay Connerworth Express reached out to me, which was first like a giant like notch that made me like go,
all right,
okay. He saw some value. He saw value in me and brought me in. And dude, I got to see the factory, meet everybody at Express, meet Roy Herndon, the owner of Express, everybody that runs the facility there, the whole Express family. And that first meeting there was just one in itself like a true experience of like, these people want me to be a part of their team and
right,
represent them. That was on like one giant side of the seesaw, or not seesaw, should I say? Just that was in the plus side.
right,
Then I got to ride in the boat, and my biggest concerns, honestly, was will I be at a disadvantage? That was the one thing I had. I was just kind of still starting out. This is my third year. Um, I did my homework. I ran the boat. I fished out of it, and there was nothing that I could find that would put me at a disadvantage.
right,
right.
And I'm on my fifth Express to this date, and I still say that to this day.
Well,
There's
and
never a day where the wind's blowing too much and
yeah,
everybody's going to a part of the lake that I can't go.
right,
There's, I can draft shallower water than they can. I can most definitely jump out of shallower water than they can. The whole shallowness
oh
thing
yeah,
is insane. Um, the fishability is insane. I've had 2 to 3 people in my X21, and everybody can get to one side of the boat. You don't feel the boat do this. It,
right,
it, it floats great. Um, I mean, it's just too many things to list. It's lighter. It's a great boat, and it's a
right,
great fishing boat. And it's a great platform, and you can't beat it for the price, the size, the the capabilities of it. You just can't beat it.
right.
right.
And see,
Yeah,
like when we talked to you at the classic, we ran into you at the expo, and we were talking, and you were showing us about the boat, and I was surprised, really, one how much space there. I mean, people think of aluminum boat for one, they think that it rides like crap, and that if you're on any kind of choppy water, you're getting beat up. These new
That's not the
aluminum
case at all.
boats, they ride like a fiberglass boat, pretty
Yep.
much. And but you were showing us a space that, I mean, Express has used every bit. There is no dead space that is
No
in that
wasted
boat.
space.
That's right. No, they did it right with the space. I mean, I towed anywhere from 35 rods in my rod box in some tournaments, 35 combinations in my rod box.
Wow.
All the tackle that I'll more tackle than I'll ever use in that entire week.
Right.
Life jackets on one side, extra clothes, just all my safety equipment, more tackle on the other side, ice cooler, tools in the back, heavier tackle in the back. Just it's got just literally everything you need.
Right. Yeah, because I've got a buddy of mine that has an Express. I think his is a 20 footer, and and I got to ride in it after seeing you at the classic, and I was like, I want to see what it's about because and that's one thing that you said was I have no problems, no fear about being blown away or any kind of choppy
That's right.
water. And so I was like, let's try it. I'm going to, because I even told him, I said, I talked to Caleb and he was giving it praise. And I said, let's see what it is. And he says, oh, you'll find out. And we had 25 mile-an-hour gust winds. And we went out and we probably on Chickamauga probably had 3.5, 4 footers and
No problem.
no problem at all. And like, cause uh, a Bass Tracker 190 and it rides very well for what it is.
Right?
But there's
No
night and
comparison.
day. It's night and day difference in between that Express and the Tracker. And like if I'm fishing in the Tracker, if we have 15-mile-an-hour winds, it's all my trolling motor's doing all to keep me on spot lock. I mean, I'll go
Yeah,
through some batteries,
that's right.
but uh, but yeah, I mean, and I told him I was like, man, Caleb. I mean, he wasn't just pulling my leg. I said he was legit, and
No
so.
Yep.
doubt.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we got Garrett Albert says I'm looking to get into an Express if I can sell my crappie nitro. So yeah, Garrett, I would strongly after riding in it, and I mean, and Caleb can kind of, I mean, definitely verify the fact. I mean, if you're looking to get into an aluminum boat and especially doing some crappie fishing, I would have no problems of going and getting hopping in an
Yeah.
Express. And
And
so,
dude, if you don't want the 21, the X19 is a total go kart, man.
yeah,
That little thing is a rocket. I really want an X19 for around the house to have in conjunction with my X21 that I fished the tour with.
right.
I want an X19 to fish the basin around here because that little thing with a 200 is just a scooter, and I would love to have
Yep.
one.
Oh yeah. So but what is the benefits? I mean, besides is there anything else besides like being able to get into some skinny water? Is there any other benefit to have an aluminum boat than it is fiberglass?
Yeah, dude, I think I can go a little further because of the boat being a little bit lighter, drafting less water. Um, Drafting less water also means that you're drawing less on your trolling batteries. This is
Yep.
the thing that I don't think a lot of
Yeah.
people talk about. I had a boat. I'm not gonna say the brand, but it sat really low in the water, and dude, I drew my batteries down so much throughout the day because it's like you're dragging more restrict
Right.
like more weight through the water.
Yeah.
Um, you're not burning your batteries up as much throughout the day. That's a giant plus for me. Um, it trolls faster too. Like
Oh
Yeah.
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 there
And
was a
what
tournament
about
at
And
Pickwick, the tail race at the Pickwick, and I felt like my boat could get closer to the tail race water because I was drafting less water with the same trolling motor that most guys had,
yeah.
and I ended up finishing like 18th in that event because of it.
Right.
I truly
Yeah.
believe
right?
that.
And how about your fuel economy? Your fuel economy must be a lot
Yes,
better too than a fiberglass boat because of the lower draft, the lighter boat. You're not burning as much fuel when you're going from place to place too.
right. No, I truly believe that too.
Yeah.
So, but I do want to talk about though a little bit more on your guide service because I think that is. I mean, to we've had multiple pro anglers come on and their guides and stuff, and I think it's so cool that they're like just like how you said is like I'm still fishing, but I'm separating from bass to whatever, and and so uh but what all so do you just do like the like mackerel and then just redfish or
Yeah,
do you
it's
do like
predominantly
snook?
speckled trout and redfish.
Yeah.
Um, right now we're having to run like 10 miles offshore to catch them, but it's been really good. Our fishery is pretty prone to fresh water coming out of the Chapelai Basin. Um, but if you make the run to where they are right now, it's just been pretty good. I mean, we pretty much caught a limit. I think I'm on my ninth trip. I just picked up my Express X23 Bay. Um, I've run my ninth trip today. We've caught a limit just about every day but one.
Oh
So
man.
it's been good, man. It's been fun. Taking some new people out that haven't got the ride in the Express, and they're
And that's where
impressed.
it sells them. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sells them right
Absolutely.
there.
There's anywhere from 2 to 3. Even with me fishing the Elite Series, it's gonna be anywhere from 200 to 300 people getting a ride in this Express that don't necessarily have a boat, and it may be in the market. So they're
Yeah.
getting to see firsthand how this boat rides, how it takes rough water, and the
Yeah.
fishability of it.
Yeah.
Um, this past Sunday, I had 4 people plus myself. We all fished comfortably. Everybody caught fish. It was just a good time.
Heck yeah. Now, is there like is when you were growing up was the you said that your dad was the one that was primarily bass fishing.
Right.
Is that what took kind of like or like because I know like I grew up just like doing some bluegill fishing and crappie fishing with my granddaddy. And then I finally, after seeing Iconelli win the classic, I finally was like, I kept on telling, I said, I want to do some bass fishing. I don't want to catch these crappie. I want to do some bass fishing. So that's kind of what turned me into starting to bass fish.
That's right.
But what was it that got you to where you're like, I want to start doing bass tournaments?
Man, I had a godmother. I still have her. She's still alive. Her husband, no relation, but she was my godmother, and Uncle Jimmy was his name, and he was the tournament bass fisherman, local club around where I fish and everywhere. And I forget how old I was, maybe just turning 20, maybe 22, 23. I don't know. Um, Maybe even older than that, maybe 25. I could be lying. I feel like I've only been tournament. Yeah, so I've only been tournament bass fishing going on 11 years now. We fished a tournament at the basin, and I had like 2 rods, brought a couple rods, and ended up winning. And I'm like, hang on now, I feel like I
Hold
can catch
on.
bass. This,
Yeah.
uh,
And that's all it
man,
took, wasn't it?
that's all it took. I was hooked.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I tell you, I mean, there, I've enjoyed because we were able to talk to you at the classic, and then we were able to talk to you when y'all were at Wheeler, and I've always enjoyed talking to you. I mean, because you always seem like just down to earth kind of person, and so, but I mean, it's just I want to say I'm thankful just because just being able to talk to you because not a lot of people. Bass fishing is an exception, but like I've been around a lot of different sports and stuff to where like the pro athlete does not. I mean, it's you go to the event to watch the event. You don't have the
Right.
opportunity to be able to talk to them, and if you do talk to them, they kind of snub nose you, and
Yeah.
and bass fishing is not like that. And so I guess kind of where I'm trying to go is trying to tell our viewers that if the bass is coming around and you have an opportunity to go to the lake, they do not. And Caleb, I mean, correct if I'm wrong.
No,
You do not have a problem if somebody comes up and just wants to chit chat for a few
Yeah.
minutes.
no, absolutely. Bring your kids. If you got a kid that loves fishing, bring them to me.
Yeah,
There is nothing I love more than talking to kids that are
Yeah.
passionate about bass fishing or just fishing. Like,
yeah,
tell me about the brim you caught. Like, tell me about the catfish that you caught on jugs.
yeah,
I'll talk your ears off about that. I love that. Like, I grew up old school fishing from the bank. What, like I said, whatever puddle, whatever ditch had a fit. I thought had a dude. I used to wreak havoc on the garfish, little garfish too. If I could get a hook in it, I was trying to
yeah,
catch it. So
yeah,
that's what I grew up doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. Bring your kids. There's nothing I absolutely love more than to talk about my passion about the
Yeah.
outdoors, especially hunting.
yeah.
Hunting, we can talk hunting. I will talk to anybody that wants to talk to me about anything
Yeah.
with that. I love that.
Yeah, and that's what I think kind of separates our sport of fishing from all the other professional sports out there is that the players in fishing on the professional side is a lot more personable. You have a lot better fan access when you go. If you're a fan and want to go, you get a lot more up close and personal with the players in the game. Where you don't get that with NFL, with baseball, but with fishing, you're able to actually get to talk to you guys and be able to ask you questions up close and personal. And I think that's one of the better parts of the fishing end of it is that you
I'm with
guys
you on that.
are
Yeah.
so open and are so accessible to the fans, and you just don't see that in other sports.
That's right. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
Caleb, before I forget, and I'm sorry I didn't ask this beforehand. Um, if somebody is wanting to go out on a trip with you, how can they get a hold of you?
Right now, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger. I'm not giving my number out, but
No, no,
if
we
you're
wouldn't do that.
seriously inquiring, just hit me up through
Message.
social media.
Right. Right.
Um, I'll respond. I live down here in New Iberia, Louisiana. Later on in the year, I'm going to do some trips out of Venice, Louisiana. The big bulls are always going. Big bull reds are fun to catch around there. The trout fishing is going to get insane down there, and It's really a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now during your off season, as far as the guidance concerned, are you going to be able to guide all year through the winter time, or is there a little bit of a shutdown as it
Yeah.
gets
So
starts getting colder?
when it gets too cold, it gets a little tougher. Um, I'm going to turn on to hunting, honestly. But when we get back from New York, the fishing is just going to be on fire. It's going to be
Yeah.
the good time to come. I'll get about 2 to maybe 3 months of that, and I'm going to turn into hunting.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can see back behind you, you got them the skull mounts right
No
there.
doubt.
Are those all from Louisiana?
Um, the big one in the middle is public land, and I think the rest are from southern Arkansas.
I got you.
The big one in the middle is from Louisiana, though.
Yeah, I got a. I work for McKee Foods, which is Little Debbie. So we deliver. Uh, we deliver Little Debbie's to like storage units for the vendors to come pick up and to take out. And
Okay.
the guy that there's two of us in a truck, and the guy that I ride with, he actually just started a hunting YouTube channel, and he's actually on right now. And as soon as we were talking about hunting, first thing he says, "That's what I'm talking about."
There we go.
so, but so do you gator hunt or anything like? Do you do gators and?
I may do a little gator guiding this September. Yeah, I do some gator hunting. Killed an 11 footer this year. Um, got an in with a guy that brings some people around in the basin, and it's pretty cool. You need to check it out.
Yeah, that to me that's we've gone after ICAST and all that. Like we'll go down to the glades and do some peacock fishing and stuff like that. And being a guy that was born and raised in Tennessee, like last year I had a peacock that got destroyed by a gator, and Norman and the guy that was on the boat with us was giving me a hard time, and I'm like, dude, we don't have anything around that's going to eat our fish that we're trying to reel in.
Yeah.
And so, but to have, like, we had, it's about 9-10 footer that stayed around us down in the canals, and
Where
it
at again?
was in the down in
We're
the
down
Everglades.
Everglades.
Oh, in the Everglades. Oh yeah.
And
That was just
so,
the one you were seeing.
Yeah,
oh
oh
yeah,
yeah,
Trust
yeah.
me, if you
oh
saw
yeah,
9, 10 footers in the daytime, there's 12 footers sleeping at
oh
night.
yeah.
So, but it's amazing just to see and how agile those things are too is
Oh yeah.
phenomenal. And so, but what is your favorite animal to go and hunt though?
It man. Up until a couple years ago, it was bow hunting whitetails, but here lately, I got a pretty good black lab and got to do some extraordinary duck hunting with the guys from Express,
Oh man.
Rory at 5052 Farms and 5051. Sorry. Damn, I might have messed that all up. I hope you don't. I hope you don't hate me for that one. I think it's 5052. And
Right.
no, and he's brought me out there, and we got to hunt with the guys from R&T, John Stevens in that group, and I got a black lab, dude, and it's been so cool watching her work. I've been really getting back into duck hunting a lot more.
Right.
I grew up
Now,
doing it my whole life, so duck hunting has been my deal here lately.
have you ever had or like eaten a sand crane?
I haven't. That's one hunt I haven't been on. I haven't.
Yeah, I've got a cousin that he's just an avid outdoors. It don't matter what it is. It's kind of like you. It doesn't matter. He'll fish, he'll hunt, he'll duck hunt, whatever kind. As long as he's outdoors, he's happy.
Yep.
And he told me he went up to Canada and got some sand cranes. And he told me, he said he says, I will not. Oh
Can
man,
y'all see me?
nope, it went out, but we can hear you.
Okay, hang on one second. I apologize. I'm
Oh,
listening.
you're good. And so he told me after he got back, he was like, he said, Colin, he said, that sand crane, he said, that is the fillet of the sky. He said
That's what I hear.
it is the best meat in a bird that you will ever have. And I was like, I gotta get me some. So, but yeah,
How
there
about
you
now?
are, brother. You're good. So, but yeah, I had to ask. So when you said that you done some duck hunting, I was like, I wonder if he's had, because I know y'all don't hide away from eating any kind of
Oh no,
animals as
bud.
long as it. So,
If it's got a limit, I'll cook it. Trust me.
so, but let's talk a little bit about your year this year on the elites, and how do you think that you've done this year? I know that, I mean, the Tennessee River and all that and then with Wheeler, and then when y'all went to Smith and all that, that kind of kicked a lot of y'all in the face.
Oh, it did. It shuffled a lot of stuff up. You know, I jumped 20 AOI's points at Wheeler, which was awesome.
Yeah,
Um, dude, my year's been it's been up and down. I don't want to say struggling. Struggling ain't the word, but I'm gonna say adapting.
yeah,
Adapting to learning the live scope. And I'm not saying learning. I can do it. I know that I can do it. I'm not saying I'm great at it. I'm not saying I'm proficient at it, but um, I can do it. I
yeah.
can get out there and I can do it. I'm slowly getting better at it. Um,
But it takes time. That's one
it,
thing that it
it
takes.
does.
It takes hours of looking at a
Yeah,
screen to just
that's right.
to even one to just feel comfortable about it, and then more hours to be able to be like confident in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yep. No, and that's been my deal. It's playing in every tournament. The year I finished top 10 AOI, I feel like it wasn't even really a player that year.
Yeah.
It really went off of a lot of instinct. It really went off of a lot of, hey man, wind's blowing on that point. I'm gonna go fish it. I'm gonna go throw a top water there. I just really want to get back to that. And trust me, I'm not one of the hardcore guys that's like, it's got to go. But if it went away, I wouldn't be upset.
I mean, the thing about it is, at least you have it on the boat. I mean, because
Right? No, you have to.
there
You
is somebody that's fishing the tour that does not. He won't put it on his boat.
and guess what? He's still cashing checks. He's
Oh,
still
Oh
he
man,
is.
yeah,
and if I would ever do that, so all right, so I'll tell you this. Like I feel like what's getting into my head is thinking that I have to do it every event.
Right.
But not everybody's a John Cox.
Mm-mm.
Not like I feel like I'm my bread and butter, my strength is shallow. But
Yeah.
that guy's a different animal.
Oh, he is, and I mean, if it has 2 inches of water, I guarantee you he's pulling out a 4 pounder out of
Absolutely.
it.
Never
So
practiced there, just rolled in there because it
no,
looked right. And he's one of the few that are still doing it. I
yeah,
credit him to no end behind that. I mean, it's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
I just struggle with knowing that the tournament's going to get one live scope and I want to win one,
right,
and I can't let it keep robbing me. And I know that
right,
70% of the checks are going to come from doing
yeah,
it in any given event. So you better be proficient in it and be able to do it
yeah.
everywhere
Now,
you
yeah.
go.
now, do you get out on other bodies of water during your off time and just work with it and kind of try to hone your skills in with it on other bodies of water?
I did a little bit on Toledo, but I can't do it anywhere around here. The
Yeah,
Chapelot Basin, it doesn't really play.
yeah,
Um, I got some I got some things up my sleeve where I'm going to try to do it on this saltwater guide, and I'm going to kind of incorporate it into what I'm
yeah,
doing. I think it'll be cool,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine you could probably utilize it big time in the saltwater
oh,
though.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that's what when we were talking, we were at the classic, and oh shoot, I can't remember, Caleb, who we was talking to, but they were saying that the Japanese anglers were using saltwater transducers for their forward facing sonars.
yep.
So, but yeah, but the kind of this, I don't really want to beat around because I know everybody would just want to talk about forward facing sonar, and it kind of gets old after a while, and I know you're
I know.
probably tired of it, but to kind of go like what you were saying though, to me, like I have it on my boat, and I feel I get in the situation to where, because I if I'm within if I'm 12 foot and below, I feel like I can do whatever I want to do and catch fish. But
That's right.
since I've had that on the boat, I'm like, well, what if I go over here and just look at this and just scan that? And it kind of detours you from doing your plan.
Why would you make it?
Right. You still there, Caleb? So, but hopefully he'll be right back. It's showing that he's still on, but so um but yeah, that's to me that's one thing that I've noticed with having it on, Norman, is that I'm like, well, let's see if I can go find some over here.
yeah.
When I know that I can go and stay in that areas. You good? So when I know that I can stay in that
Daddy's going to
10 to
fix his
12,
boat. I'll be right back. Yes.
when I can go and stay in that 10 to 12
What?
foot of water, Norman.
Yeah.
Hello.
Are you there? Can you hear us? I bet he got a phone call.
Yeah.
So,
But
but
yeah, the one thing I see a lot of times, Colin, is And I know I don't have one on the front of my boat yet, but I know what would happen with me if I did is, you know, you kind of catch yourself almost zoned in on it, and you almost feel like you lose track of what's going on around you as well.
Right.
But and don't get me wrong, I am going to get one eventually on the front of my boat. I definitely have to have one in today's game. I want one, but with that being said, I do see where a lot of times you get so focused in on watching that screen that you kind of lose your perception of, how you grew up fishing, looking at a splash over there or seeing them schooling up
Yeah.
over there. So, I could see where it could real easily, get to be a distraction when you get so zoned in on looking at that screen.
Yeah. I mean, because like just the other day when I was out, I, I mean, I just looked out. I'm sitting in 30 foot of water, and then I look out into 50 foot of water, and I could see bass just swimming out. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
they're 15 foot. They're in 15 foot of water, but I mean, well, they're at 15 foot
Yeah.
in 50 foot of water, but and all they just swimming around, and then you're like, well, if they're out there, well, maybe I should go out there. And
Yeah.
I mean, because I mean, I seen some tanks that were out there, Norman. I mean, and
Yeah.
it was, to me, it kind of it can sidetrack you pretty
Yeah,
easy.
exactly. And here's another thing too is, and I'm sure you can get the same kind of a zoned in on a fish or two on forward facing sonar, just like you can when you're sight fishing or on the
Exactly.
bank,
Yeah.
and you see some fish that just isn't ready to eat yet, but you're persistently staying on them. And when do you stay on them long enough? When do you leave them? How long do you wait it out for them to turn on a bait? And I'm sure you
Yeah.
could kind of get into that same realm with forward facing sonar as well when you see a fish. Because here's the one thing that most people think about forward facing sonar. A lot of the naysayers and the ones that are talking against it is. The one thing is, just because you have forward facing sonar doesn't mean you're going to go out and light it up.
Oh no,
and
no.
and the fish are the same out there. Is the only difference between forward facing sonar and watching them on the bank is where you're watching them. When you're watching a fish like fishing on the bank, throwing baits at as
You
that
get
something you can see, you're throwing at that fish. You're still throwing at a target. You're just throwing at a target that's 15, 20 foot below you.
yeah.
And the bite's going to be about the same. Just because you throw at them doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to eat what you're throwing at them.
Oh, and it'll make you mad because the thing about it is that I've noticed with having it on is you see all these fish. You see these fish come up to your bait, and if you don't have it, you don't realize it. You just think, well, there's no fish right there. Well, now you're able to see these fish come up, nose your bait, and then turn around and just swim off.
Yeah,
And then you're like, what the crap? I mean, it was come. I mean, you like, I would have swore I would have had one.
yeah,
And there's more times than not and the more times that I've been able to get out and use it, that I've noticed that like there's not too many casts that will have that there's not a bass that is or a fish that's coming up to check it out.
yeah,
Um, and it makes you mad because you're
exactly.
like, I want I should be catching it, but
And think about this for a second too. With all the naysayers out there with forward facing sonar, and it's like all you have to do is turn on social media, and the first thing is going to pop up about fishing is something negative that somebody's saying about forward facing sonar. Think about this for a minute. Every time something new comes out, you always have that same argument where you
yeah,
always have a lot of naysayers. Like it's, side imaging, for example. When side imaging came out, everybody was saying the same thing. If somebody didn't have side imaging or didn't want to put it on their boat or yada yada yada, But now look at side imaging. I don't think you could buy a unit today that doesn't come with side imaging already on
Oh,
it.
there's not a unit.
But I'm gonna even go back. I'm gonna go back back in the day. I'm gonna go back about 28 years ago. Look at PowerPole. When
Yeah.
PowerPole first came out, the same thing was being talked about PowerPole. There's a lot of naysayers, and a lot of it was the guys that couldn't get them on the boat, or I hate to say it, couldn't afford it, but if people couldn't get them on their boat, they're talking about it. They didn't want them in tournaments. But look at it today. I don't think there's a boat out there, bass boat out there that you see driving down the road that doesn't have two power poles, not one but two power poles on it. And back in the day, it was everybody's putting one on, and all of a sudden you start seeing boats going around with two power poles on them.
Yeah.
Now I don't think there's a boat out there that you see driving down the road that doesn't have two power poles on the back of it. But back then, when power poles first came out, it was the same thing. There's a lot of naysayers didn't want, if they couldn't have them on their boat, they didn't want to have them on any. They didn't want to compete with
Oh, yeah.
people with them on the boats.
Yeah.
So it's not only forward facing sonar. It goes back. Anytime something new comes out in the industry with technology, there's always going to be disgruntled people that they just want to beef their opinion. And that's the one bad thing I think about social media is, social media is designed for positivity, dude. You got to look at the fact. I mean, it's designed to be positive, but there's so
Yeah.
much negative happening out there on social media. That's all you ever see now. And every time you turn on, it's forward facing sound or this, forward facing sound or that. But
Yeah.
but
Well, let's.
everybody's entitled to their own opinion,
Yeah.
but it just gets wild after a while. I
Yeah.
mean, with all the crap that goes on.
Rodney Clayton says I've been catching them off of live scope, just now figuring it out, but it sure is a lot easier to know if you're casting in the wind or you're casting on fish. That is
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's true. But hey, real quick, I do want to talk a little bit, Norman. Uh, here he comes. Let's see if I get him. Yeah.
We got you.
Let's see. Do like this. Ooh, replay. I gotta get you back on here, brother. All
There he
right,
is.
there he is. There he is. Uh,
Sorry about that, fellas.
oh man, you're good. You're good. Um, so yeah, like what I was saying though is I get sidetracked with thinking that well, let's see if he'll come back on. It looks like he was in his truck. Uh, but Norman, real quick, let's talk. I do want to mention something because uh, about let's see, he doesn't have good signal.
Yeah,
About iBass 360, real quick. We do want to talk about iBass and be able to say like for y'all to go check out iBass 360, their
yeah,
website,
yeah,
and they have a new magazine that is that's coming. It's out right now.
yeah.
Or a new episode, or not episode.
New issue,
New
edition,
issue. Yeah.
edition.
Um, that is out, and that thing is phenomenal. It has from guides from all over the United
Yeah,
States talking about fishing.
yeah,
It talks about product,
yeah,
and and I can't wait till next month because I mean, what's happening here next week? You got ICAST
yeah.
coming
We got
up,
ICAST
so
coming up. Yeah,
there's there's going to be some pretty cool baits that's going to be on this new
yeah,
issue for the next month
yeah,
um, of the
yeah.
magazine. So, guys, go check it out.
Here,
iBass
yeah.
360.
Here, let's do this
And
too. Once this episode is over with, we'll edit the description of this episode and we'll put in the information in the description how you
yeah,
could get on because the iBass 360 magazine is actually an e-magazine, which means you could actually read this magazine online. It's a regular magazine, but you could easy access online. So we'll actually put the description of where you could go to read the magazine in the description when we edit it out.
yeah, yeah. So, and we do want to thank Rob and Eric at iBass 360.
Yep.
Um,
They do a
and
killer job, and guys, if you don't know Eric Evans is the one that writes all the articles for iBass. He is a insane storyteller, writer, does a great job. A lot of the stuff you see written up on Deck Talk Podcast from iBass, My Guide Business, Colin Burnett Fishing, uh, is all written up by Eric when it's on iBass stuff, and he does a
there
phenomenal
he
job.
is.
So there he is.
There he is, bro. Uh, let's see. There. All
There,
right.
there
Now we got.
we.
Oh, we thought we had him.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as we get Caleb back on, we'll go ahead and
There he is.
there he is. What's going on, brother?
Hey,
There he is.
we won't keep you. I got a couple or just a couple more questions, and then we'll ask our final question to you because I want to talk to you about flipping and pitching. That's something that
Let's do it.
I know. Um, so when you're flipping and pitching, how important is boat positioning for you?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything. When I'm flipping and pitching, um, the first thing I think about is like how can I set the hook in the best possible manner,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so like my strong side is pulling from my left, going to my right. So I typically, if I'm going into a pocket, I go on the left side first, if that makes sense.
Right.
That's my number one. So boat position and everything. You don't want to be too far away from the fish, but you also can't be too close. But you also can't have too much line out because you need to snatch them, right? So
Right.
that's first and foremost. My number one with boat positioning with flipping and pitching.
Right. So when let's say like when you're flipping like a bunch of grass and stuff, what is your setup that you have as in your rod to the line that you're using down to like are you pitching with a 1 ounce weight or heavier or what are you
That
using?
that all depends on the cover. I can have everything from fluorocarbon to 80-pound braid and a 2 ounce weight.
Right.
I really let the cover tell me what I'm doing. You don't want to be underpowered. You don't want to be under test with the line. You need to have an adequate line to get fish out of cover, right? So,
Right.
but I also try not to overpower. There's a balance, right? You don't want to overpower. You don't want to underpower. So,
There's
it,
a
it
happy medium.
it's a happy medium. It's about the broadest explanation I can give
Right.
for the time frame that I have right now. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good, brother. You're good. And so are you using again depending on like the weight? Is there different rods that you use, or is there one rod that you would use for all of
It's
that?
it's pretty hard to argue for the all around like 7.3 heavy.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to go around for that. The heavier cover, I'll opt for like a 7.8 or even an 8 foot flipping stick.
Right. So yeah, I mean, cause and like my thinking is because up here on Chick we've got some grass, so we used to have quite a bit. Let's see, you still here, Caleb?
I
Hey,
can hear y'all.
okay, that's fine. Well, and so
Hello.
when you're like, let's say you've got some thick vegetation and stuff like that, are you wanting that bait to drop quickly through that vegetation? Or are you kind of? I know you don't want it to be like a slow fall, kind of like a finesse type deal. Um, because are you getting your hits majority from once it comes through that vegetation dropping through, or are you getting it kind of like jigging it a little bit in the vegetation?
It It depends on the time of year.
Okay.
Time of year. Earlier in the year, colder, I'm going to opt for slower presentations. Summertime, I'm going to want fast,
Right.
more lethargic fish in, say, the colder months. I'm going to opt for, want to ease it in there and let it slow fall. The rest of the
Right.
time, summertime, even out to the fall, I want a faster fall to get the reaction bite.
Right. So, and we know that you had other obligations, and also we want to again say thanks for coming on here, and so we won't hold you up too much longer, brother. But with that being said, Norman, will you let's ask the last question, and then we'll let Caleb get on to the other stuff that he's needing to get done tonight.
Yeah, Caleb. Hey, if you were to have one person on your boat with you, and this person could be passed away or still with us to fish with for the day, Caleb, who would that be, and why would you want to fish with them for the day?
Bill Dance, hands down.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Childhood hero. Childhood hero. Always been a fan of him. And it would honestly be Bill Dance for sure.
That is awesome, man.
That is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, with that being said, again, Caleb, thanks, brother, for coming
Yeah.
on, and again, we hope that you get the Patrick Walters luck for coming on the podcast and heading up north, and because a blue trophy would look good strapped into that passenger seat right there.
Damn right.
Caleb,
So,
Guys,
appreciate
I
it.
apologize again for
No, man, you're good.
it was just one of those days. I just got to get some repairs done, and I was getting a
all right,
couple phone calls. It was
you're
just
good.
No, you're
it was unprofessional. I apologize. I'm gonna make it up to y'all, and I'm gonna do another show with y'all whenever y'all
awesome.
say,
That
and I'll have some, and we can block out another hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever y'all want to do. I feel like I need to do that. I'll be more than happy to do that. It's just I got some trips tomorrow,
You're good.
and I got some people that I can't let down, and I got to get.
Oh, let's
And
do
it
this.
just got crazy on me.
Oh, you're good. Let's do this. Let's make this plan, Caleb. How about at the classic? Let's meet up and let's shoot a video with you, a little quick video with you at the classic.
Let's do it.
So, because I'm not expecting for you to be able to be at the expo for us to do a video at the expo, but I want to meet you on the backstage, especially on Sunday. Be able to
Let's
go
do it.
do an interview with you on Sunday.
Let's do it.
All right, brother. Thank you
awesome,
so
man.
much
Appreciate
again,
it, Caleb.
and we'll see you in at the classic here next year, brother.
Thank y'all.
All right, see you, brother.